Oh, oh. Almost stepped right into the one there. Oh, but yes, good morning. Like I say, I feel as if, stuff has happened today, or at least last night. So, time for a walk, I think. I don't think we've ever had one on a Monday before. Well, at least not for a while, at least. So I thought, why not? Why not have one? Oh. But yes, what can we say? I told you so. I knew this was going to happen. I predicted this. I said he didn't have the votes, and he didn't. It was nothing more than a massive bluff campaign. That's all it was. But yes, good morning. I can see you all sort of slowly starting to filter in now before we kick off into the main event today. Good morning to you all. Like I say, it is very likely today, probably this afternoon, we will see Rishi Sunak essentially get the crown. I'm not even confident that Penny Mordaunt has the votes to send this into a challenge, for it to be even a bit of a brief competition. I think the MPs have finally got what they want. Oh, Gagin, good morning to you. Gen T, good morning to you. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be a competition. I think this afternoon, Rishi wins. Rishi will get it. I cannot see him losing, to be honest. And maybe at least for a while, sanity might be restored. It'd be nice to have a functioning government. Morning. But yes, it'd be nice to at least for a short while have somewhat of a functioning government. I think that would be nice. That's the core feature, that's the core takeaway, to be honest, for today. But Sunak still has to actually try and unify what is essentially a completely ungovernable Tory party. Now, they may come together under Sunak to decide that, well, we don't want a general election, so we're going to have to get behind Sunak. I think that's going to be the key for... Oh, hang on. There we are. Hang on, my chat hasn't been catching up. There we go. Oh, Angelo, good morning. Let's take a moment of respect for Nadine's broken heart. It's true. Didn't Theresa May win without going to the membership? I can't remember. I think she did. Because that race was really, really peculiar, because that was the race everyone knew Brexit was going to be an absolute disaster, and they were all very quickly realising that they didn't want it. So it was basically drop out as quickly as you can. So yeah, Theresa May didn't go to the membership from what I remember. Phil, nice surprise. Well, good morning to you. Brian, good morning to you. So when you will actually wear a bowler hat. Eventually. Just not today. David, good morning to you. Pretty Bird, greetings to you. Jennifer. Does it mean if Sunak becomes PM, general election will definitely be in 2 years' time? Yes. Because honestly, I cannot see the Tory party going for a general election. They want to do everything they possibly can to avoid a general election. Because they know at the moment if they went to a general election, they would lose. So expect some serious bizarre U-turns from many of these Tories, because like I say, yesterday it was all just sound and fury. That's right, that's what I said to you yesterday in yesterday's live stream. That's what it was. It was nothing, complete, bluster. Boris didn't have the numbers, never had that 100 MP backing support. Because why then would you go to Rishi Sunak for an alliance, or at least to make a deal? And I highly suspect that Boris wanted something like deputy PM, but he also probably wanted to drag a couple of other of his close choices in to the cabinet as well. And I think that was the play I think he over-egged his play. And I think Rishi Sunak turned around and just went, well, okay, if you've got that support, prove it. And from what we're hearing, he only had around about 55, I think, MPs came out and said, yes, we'll back Boris. So essentially, Rishi Sunak just called Johnson's bluff. I think Johnson did make a serious power play yesterday morning and, try and sort of weasel his way into the government. Because I think he knew he didn't have the support. That's why it was just constant from all the Boris supporters, just constantly. Boris has got the support. Boris has got the support. If he goes to the membership, he'll win. And I think that was part of the campaign, to try and essentially just force himself into it. Gen T, totally agree. Boris didn't have the numbers. Yeah, again, I was saying this yesterday. He didn't have the numbers. There's no way he was going to win. Because it didn't make sense you were going to try and do a deal with Rishi Sunak. It didn't make sense at all. And now we know. And to be honest, Sunak's going to win. And as someone said, I can't remember who it was, but yeah, austerity. But one thing Sunak really needs to learn, and needs to learn fast, is that he needs to seriously control his party. Because these free market fundamentalist libertarians of the party are still there. They're still there. I wonder if the COVID inquiry could have complications for Sunak. Probably. I think it may do. But we won't know for yet, because like I say, it's going to be a 2-year investigation. But as stuff rumbles out from that will certainly hurt the Tories. Absolutely. And then in a month's time, we're going to have all the Partygate stuff. Was this under Johnson tried to steal all Mordaunt's votes? Doesn't surprise me. Like I say, I don't think Mordaunt has the votes either. She's still in it, and I think she's probably going to be in it until the vote this afternoon, and then we'll see how many votes she has. But I don't think this is going to go to a member vote. I think it's just going to be very, very clearly decided that the MPs, or at least the Tory party, has at least recognised They need a sane, sensible pair of hands at the helm. A Dutch good morning from JL. Well, a Dutch good morning to you. But yeah, he doesn't have... Yeah, he never had the votes. It was all sound and bluster. But it's still shocking, though, that at least 55, Tory MPs were essentially going to debase themselves and put Johnson back into power. That's the truly shocking part. But as I said earlier on, Sunak has to learn his lesson that the other Conservative Prime Ministers didn't, and he's going to have to really rein in many of these ideologues, many of the sort of the right-wing libertarians in his party that have, like I say, took power under Truss. And not only were they responsible for Truss, they were responsible for Boris, they were responsible for Brexit. They've been responsible for most of the messes for the past 6 years. Probably even before that, going back to like David Cameron. So he has to at least recognise that he has to do something about them. Whether it's he removes the whip from them, or he tells them, right, you back me now. And that's it. And I think he will have to banish them to the backbenchers, hopefully never to be seen again. But he has to start pulling the talent, the proper talent. Because if we are in this such a god-awful position, which we are in, and trust me, even if we got someone like, even if somehow, Jeremy Corbyn came riding to the rescue, even Corbyn would have a very, very hard time trying to get us out of this mess. And trust me, it is an absolute mess that we are in. Because I cannot see any way that that we don't get out of this with like going full hard-on austerity. Again, I think it was a mistake going this way because I'm having to watch where I put my feet, not the camera. So if I miss your comments this morning, I do apologise. Like I say, this path is a bit treacherous, is a bit muddy, but we may try and flick down to a safer one after, so at least I can read some of your comments. Good morning from Barm in the Netherlands. Good morning to you. We can hear the mess that you're in. Yeah, sorry about that, Europe. But yeah, Rishi Sunak is going to have to do what other Conservative, Prime Ministers have failed to do, and really get to grips with that faction of the party, because they are going to cause problems. Like the idea that they're going to sit quiet and not do anything and play ball without any punishment is ludicrous. They will cause trouble gladly for Rishi Sunak if they think that he is doing something wrong. Well, even Rachel Johnson thinks there should be a general election. Well, yeah. We'll have to see what Rishi Sunak actually does, because he might, if there is this just sheer amount of pressure for a general election, and if you can, well, like I say, at the moment, the Conservatives do not want, in a month to Sundays, they will never, ever, ever go for a general election. They are hoping that they can at least get in Rishi and not win the next general election, because I think even they know they're not going to win the next general election, but get ahead enough not to be completely wiped out. That's their hope. Oh, Nick Me, good morning to you. And who else is with that? Ayuk, good morning to you. Looks like the Tories are hopelessly split now. Yeah, that will be true. I think the split will continue to happen in the Tory party. It's just how split they are going to be now. Do they actually realise that they're in such a state that continuing to split will continue to damage them? It's a possibility. Or, as a lot of people have said, oh, Fox, good morning to you. Don, what do you think about the LBC caller who was out and out racist? Yeah, I think that was, I can't remember who it was now, the presenter. But yeah, I've seen the call since, and it's, yeah. That's what we call middle class racism in the UK. You know, I can't be racist because I've got a best friend who's from Nigeria. Yeah. At least I think that's the call everyone's talking about. If not, then I haven't seen it. So he has to unite the party somehow. The question is how. Whether they actually realise that, for the sake of their own jobs, they need to come together. Because if they don't, well, that's a general election. And I think there is so much pressure. There is so much pressure on, at the moment, for a general election. It could just create a constant momentum for one to happen. Now, do we risk going down here? Maybe. Well, if you went down there, we might be able to. I'm just trying to work out whether we can get down here or not, because this is the big problem. That the farmer has done all this weird walls, and normally I would have just pulled out here, but there's no way I'm getting down there. There's no way I'm getting down there. You can, if you look closely, you might be able to see a certain mark, because I've already fallen down here last week trying to get up here. Yeah, it's very muddy at the moment. And then, normally I would have gone this way, but I wonder if we can actually go this way. I wonder if we can. Oh, tell you what, I might be able to. Let's just take this steady, because I do not want to be falling onto the back of this barbed wire. Hey! We've done it! Well then, where to go from here? Well, we can go that way, we can go this way. Tell you what, we'll go this way. But it is an interesting time for the Tory party. Dave W, sorry I'm late to the party. You're catching up on last night's Doctor Who. Well, welcome to the party. Like I say, for those of you arriving late, like I say, I think, very much proven right yesterday. For those of you who caught the live stream yesterday, I did say he doesn't have the numbers. I did say it was all just sound and bluster, trying to make the impression that he had the numbers when he really didn't. I think whatever deal he tried to make, I think it included not only him having some sort of cushy job, probably as like deputy PM, but I also think that he had to bring in other people as well, because a lot of commentators have said it, that this free market fundamentalist ideas, this right-wing libertarian section of the party that have pushed Brexit as like justification to do all their crazy ideas, is well and truly sort of failed now. And like I say, even when they took control of the party, their grand experiment under Liz Truss lasted no more than 44 days and almost crashed the economy. And, you know, so the idea that they're going to be seen as viable candidates in the future, or even people that should be put on the front bench, that's something that Rishi Sunak's going to have to do. He's going to have to seriously punish them. And I don't know how he does it, whether he just removes the whip from them or basically reads them the riot act and then starts to say, well, look, if you don't start to get behind me and get behind you know, me and the party, out you go. And one of the things that we talked about in one of yesterday's videos, about what if Johnson, you know, managed to come back? What if he made it somehow? Then we talked about a potential party split, and we're talking a proper party split, like you saw in the Liberals in, what was it, 1906 or something like that, and Labour as well. We're talking a proper party split. Would that happen? Potentially, if they think these right-wing libertarian lunatics are serious about their stuff and they think that they're hard done by, they will start causing problems for Rishi. And then Rishi will probably punish them, and then they might decide to start their own party. You know, be quote unquote the true Conservatives. Apparently Mad Nad is calling for a general election. The world's gone mad. Yeah, of course she is. Because she's, you know, she's one of Boris's true believers. So she's desperate for a general election. In fact, here's what would probably happen. The Tories, if they went to a general election now, would probably get absolutely wiped out. And then people like Nadine Dorries, the true believers, would all come out and say, ha, we told you so. This would have never have happened under Boris. It would have. It would have. So let's not let them, you know, get out of that, because they absolutely would have, you know, lost under Boris. Obviously the big thing will be, because they want to desperately try and justify, you know, Johnson's election magic, because that's why they were desperate for Johnson. They knew the situation that they were in, and they thought, right, we need Boris Johnson again. Oh, Monday morning pony for you. But they were desperate for Boris Johnson again. And that play to get Johnson back in the party has failed. Or at least back in the front bench. But it also, I think, has signalled the end for this, you know, crazy right-wing libertarian group that is in the Conservative Party, because they fully took over under Liz Truss. Yeah, no Johnson, no red wall seats. Well, it's not even a case of that anymore. I think that Johnson only won those red wall seats based on Brexit, and the fact that a lot of the voters in the red wall felt that Johnson wasn't a Tory and that at least maybe they could trust Johnson. But of course, all those promises he made to the red wall, to levelling up, haven't come to pass. So he would have lost the red wall anyway under the next general election, because he hasn't done anything to sort of fulfill those promises. The red wall is incredibly annoyed about COVID, the cost of living, energy prices. All of that happened under Boris. So even if Boris was in there, I doubt he'd have been able to win the red wall. Not only that, but he would have had the blue wall, just as we saw during the the local elections earlier this year. We saw Tory voters stay away from voting because they could not bring themselves to vote for the Conservative Party. That could happen. Libertarian right forming their own party, but like Momentum, I don't think so. You know, David Frost was a classic example. In fact, many of the Boris supporters and the ultra-Brexiteers are these right-wing libertarian types. They were all out there saying that Liz Truss wasn't wrong, it just wasn't the right time. They were all trying to make excuse after excuse that their ideology had not failed. Something else. And no, because it's been on them. That would have. Oh, I'm buffering. Oh, hang on. We're going through the black spot. We normally do lose connection around here. Hopefully it's. Hopefully we're all right. Let me know when we're back. Oh, come back to civilization. Seems better now. Okay now, right, okay. So this is really the ultimate end for that group. You know, they played their hand. They forced through Brexit. They got a referendum on Europe, which no one wanted. You know, Farage can say, oh, everyone wanted a referendum on Europe, but no one really did. No one wanted one if you look at the polls. And now that they're gone, well, they're still going to be there. They're still going to be there. They're still going to be causing problems. They're still going to really push for some bizarre policy ideas. But the hope is that Rishi Sunak just sweeps them all to the back benches. And if he doesn't learn that lesson, if he doesn't just sweep them to the back benches where, sure, they'll be able to cause trouble, but they'll be a lot more controllable on the back benches. And then he just needs to make an example of one or two of them, and that'll keep them That'll keep them in line, essentially. But that's his only hope. It's really his only hope. Because if he doesn't keep them in check, then they'll just start to cause more and more trouble. And they'll push for more and more of these crazy ideas, because they're still convinced that the ideas that Truss was pushing would work. They're still convinced that those ideas would work, even though we saw them in action. They saw them in action. They almost crashed the economy. It's just you don't know where it all goes from here. What they'll do next. And it's not just that faction either. There's multiple factions. And the big question all the time will be, can Sunak actually govern the party? If he can't, then we're probably going to head to a general election. Nietzsche, I doubt the Red Wall voters would blame Johnson for anything, no matter how dire. Johnson's act out of adult toddler is his get out of jail card. Oh no, they do. I am up in the north, and I can tell you now, the people do blame Johnson. Yeah, he's always going to have that, that bit of support like Trump. But yeah, they do. Trust me, they do. Coming from where I'm coming from, up in the north, they do. And the tide has sort of very much turned against them. That is why all those Red Wall Tories are now in panic mode, because even they don't want a general election. Because there's a few days ago, you may remember, there was that really angry Tory MP, I can't remember his name now, but even he said it, there's nothing as X as an ex-MP. And they will be one-term, most of them will be one-term MPs. Some of them might be able to hang on, but they won't hang on with a very big majority. And maybe they'll make it to 2. But it won't be, shall we say, all of them. Labour will pretty much rebuild the Red Wall. Angela, what's the viability for another European referendum? Because some of the polls shows a changing mind from the British population. Maybe not at the moment. Maybe not at the moment, but certainly it's appearing to go that way. We have, if you want to have like a serious conversation about rebuilding sort of our economy, then you have to talk about closer relations with Europe. And if Labour says, well, tell you what, we're going to rebuild our, some of these links by essentially creating a closer relation by signing treaties, then the question then gets asked, well, why aren't we in the single market? And then eventually we end up in the single market. And then after that, the next question that gets asked is, well, if we're here, why aren't we, a full member of the EU? And then we end up being members of the EU. So there has to be a proper adult conversation. And I think the Tories are still terrified of having that adult conversation. I mean, you've got Tobias Ellwood being, as far as I am aware, the only Tory calling for the UK to rejoin the single market. So how that goes, I don't know. But we'll see. Oh, hang on. Let me just blow my nose. I'll show you some nice scenery. Oh dear. There we go. And we're back. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time. What happens now? But Sunak's ultimate goal will be to try and desperately to stop any of this reversal that's happened in their polls. And I think if he can stop that, if he can at least reverse that, I think the Tories will be happy. Yep, Ben, good morning to you. Johnson had a very beautiful numbers behind him. I'm sure the 2019 mandate is now completely irrelevant to the country and no relevant to the British public whatsoever. Yeah, very true. Mark C, good morning to you. Hope everyone has a lovely day planned. Well, you too, Mark. Hope you have a wonderful day as well. Dave W, windy, yes, unfortunately. Like I say, this is what happens when you do when you plan to do an outdoor show. It gets unfortunately very windy. Oh, look, you can see the cows in the distance. But yeah, it's interesting times, and the question is, can Rishi Sunak bring some order to the party? Worth it for the views, though. Well, like I say, when we're out in the lovely Yorkshire countryside, it's always worth it. And that becomes the question: can he actually govern? And we'll probably find out within the next couple of weeks. But it does become, if he can't, do we end up in a general election? Will Sunak be forced to call a general election, possibly in one of May next year? I don't know, to be honest. But momentum and calling for a general election has been mounting. So Sunak may even call one when he wins. He may just say, look, I don't have a mandate, but we're going into some serious economic problems, and I want a mandate to try and solve this. So he may actually call a general election. It is entirely possible that he might do that. The big question, of course, and the continuing one, will be, will the Tories let him? They might do. And if they do, well, onwards to a general election we go. And like I say, I think Labour and the Lib Dems are going to be absolutely pushing one for. Yorkshire's like Northumberland, God's country. Very true. I think that we're going to have to see what happens, because that is, that is the case. That is the key, really. I don't think Mordaunt's going to have the numbers either. Something tells me that she's either A, going to stick it out to the end, or she'll probably call it herself, maybe in a couple of hours' time. Because I don't see her having the numbers either. I think the party is very, very decidedly saying today that they want Rishi Sunak. And the irony is not lost. If you've been watching a lot of these, you know, Borisites, the pro-Boris faction on TV and interviews, they've all been saying how much they want Boris and they don't want Rishi Sunak, and that, you know, Sunak would be terrible for the party, that he can't win a general election, and all this stuff, really trying to sort of disparage the sort of the Sunak campaign, which was part of their big, you know, bluff and bluster campaign. But now, all of a sudden, that Sunak's looks like Sunak's going to win, a lot of them apparently now turning around to support Rishi. So, what a surprise. What a surprise. Because I think they're at least hoping to be rewarded with loyalty. But Sunak has to be able to pull together a good cabinet, and he has to go for the talent that's been sat on the backbenches in the Tory party for the longest time. So you might see people like Michael Gove get called back in. You might even see Theresa May, of all people, being brought back in. Yeah, Mog out, that's very true. That's what we want to see. We want to see Mog thrown back to the backbenches like the rest of these complete no-hopers that have been brought out to serve as complete loyalists for both Johnson and Truss. Because that's part of the problem where we are. So Sunak has to bring back the talent, because we are in a real serious problem. And if he doesn't get his front bench sorted out properly, you know, from the word go, he's going to find himself in a lot of problems. That's why I think Boris overplayed his hand, because that meeting, I highly suspect, wasn't just about, oh, make me your deputy PM. I think it was also, look, don't just bring me, you know, into your cabinet, bring so-and-so and this person in as well. And I think Rishi just turned him down and went, no, I'm choosing my own cabinet. And then Boris probably threatened him with the numbers, and then Sunak went around and went, okay, prove it. And he didn't have the numbers. So Eric, good morning to you. So I think that's what happened in that meeting yesterday. Patel comes out for Sunak. It doesn't surprise me, because most of these no-hopers are going to be saying that they supported Sunak all along, when they didn't. They very clearly didn't. They were supporting Liz Truss and her crackpot libertarian ideology. So they're now desperately trying and get Sunak to at least notice them, in the hopes that they might at least maybe pick up some sort of cabinet position. But Sunak needs to learn the lesson, certainly of Theresa May, that you need to punish these people, you need to get them in line, and to be honest, you need to send them to the backbenchers, because not one of them deserves to be on the front bench. So it will indeed be a very, very interesting, I think, couple of weeks. But if Sunak gets an absolute majority, I think today, he wins. I don't think Penny Mordaunt has the numbers either. I don't think she can or it's at least do a deal with Sunak. We'll have to see if she gets brought into the front bench, because there's a lot of rumours about her that said that she wasn't very good, you know, in her time in office. Yeah, Mordaunt is trusted with just the ability to speak, yeah. That's very true. Get Coffey, Cleverly, Zavari, Mogg, etc. off the front bench, surely, yeah. I can surely expect that. Like I say, expect a complete cabinet reshuffle. And like I say, I fully expect to see people like Michael Gove, maybe Theresa May, maybe like, you know, some of the old Tory names that we haven't heard for a while. Jeremy Hunt may come back in at some point, I highly suspect. I think a lot of the Cameron people age would probably come back. But yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see who he picks. Geoffrey Cox. I don't know, but like I say, expect, I think, to see almost a David Cameron-esque front bench. That's what I would expect to see. Because he's got to pick the right people from the go. He can't, you know, he can't mess around. Because even he knows that having a bad start is worse than having a bad finish. Neil Hamilton? I don't know. We'll have to see who he picks, really. But if he gets crowned today, and he's the only one, then we could probably see a cabinet form by at least Tuesday, Wednesday. But I don't see this going to the members. I don't see this going to the members at all. I think it's very clearly Sunak has won. I don't think Mordaunt has the numbers, so I either expect her to drop out or she'll go into it just to see if she can get the numbers, but we'll see. Yeah, each Tory realignment of the deck chairs brings a step closer the total submersion of the UK. Yeah, very true. Come on, where's your sarcasm emoji? Not yet. I'm still waiting for more of you to join the Pony Club. Once more of you join, I can get a group batch, because I can't go to my graphic designer and just say, can you make me one emoji? I've got to at least go in, you know, get a good group together. I can't just go for one. It may be possible to get 100 out of 360 odd votes. This is it. I think that she might be able to. I mean, it depends. It really does depend. I mean, we'll see this afternoon. But I think she thinks she can do it. I really do. And if you may remember, we've been talking about Penny Mordaunt for quite a long time on this channel, going back to when Johnson first started having his troubles. You know, she was on resignation watch because she is the leader of the One Nation Conservative group, a very, very powerful group in the Conservative Party. So maybe we could see a contest between the two, between her and Sunak. We don't know, but it will definitely come to some interesting points, I think. But we'll have to see what happens today. We'll know by certainly this afternoon. I think the voting starts, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the voting starts roughly at either 12 or 1 o'clock and then goes to like the next 2 or 3 hours. So we'll know certainly by late this afternoon what the total is. But I'm expecting Sunak to win, to be honest. I think the party knows they have to unify behind one candidate at this point. But we also have to see potentially where the trouble might come from Sunak within the party. And I think it is going to be from these far-right libertarians who he has to learn the lesson of, push them to the back benches, and if they start to cause trouble, just, well, you've got to make an example of one of them and just push them out of the party, one by one if necessary. But he needs to really assert his authority on them and just go, you know, you either get with the program or you're out. And I seriously think he would do that. Well, I don't know if he would do that, but if he's learned the lessons of like the Cameron and May years, then he's going to have to, or else Rishi's going to have problems, some very big problems otherwise. But as always, thank you very much everyone for joining me today on today's Good Morning Walk. Like I say, thank you very much for joining me as always. Like I say, please do remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. Have an absolutely fantastic Monday. You know, go out, enjoy yourselves, enjoy the rest of your week. Wednesday live stream will be next time. We'll be live following on the Saturday from a Good Morning Walk. And yeah, of course, we've got videos throughout the week. So yeah, hit the subscribe, hit all that good stuff. Links down below again for Patreon page, for my Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee if you would like to buy me a coffee. There's the YouTube thank you button as well down below. There's also the YouTube subscription where you can join the Pony Club. And as always, like I say, guys, thank you very much for joining me this morning. It's been fun. It's been fantastic. I'm still suffering a bit from my cold a bit, so sorry for that. But yes, as always, thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you all next time.